From the Open Voice Network, Voice Chats, we host conversations on tech, retail, commerce, and inclusion around voice.
Hello, I'm Alissa Peck on behalf of the Open Voice Network. On this episode of Voice Chats, we're lucky to have three members of the Open Voice Network commerce community. Welcome to Gwen Morrison, a partner with Candescent Advisory. She was CEO of WPP's global retail practice for over 15 years, where she led commerce initiatives across the group. She serves now as co-moderator as well of the Open Voice Network commerce community. Manolo Almagro is a 25-plus year veteran in retail technology and is managing partner at Q Division, who help companies choose the best strategies, find the right technology, and accelerate digital transformation. He also serves as co-moderator of the Open Voice Network commerce community. And welcome to Vivian Tai, innovation manager at GS1 US, a not-for-profit standards organization that facilitates industry collaboration to help improve supply chain visibility and efficiency. Vivian is currently working on the future of product identity, emerging data carriers, and circular economy initiatives at GS1 US. She's interested in running pilots for the intersection of standards and voice technology. Thank you to all of our guests, all with extensive experience in emerging retail and tech. All right, well, things are moving quickly at the Open Voice Network. We have many communities and working groups hard at work. And can you tell me about the commerce community specifically and your initiatives?
Sure. So just as our background, the Open Voice Network brought together retailers and brands at the National Retail Federation just over 2 years ago, before it was formalized, to showcase and share some of the both opportunities, issues, and also some concerns about how voice could be used across platforms and particular voice assistants. This was very early days. We're really projecting out. People were just starting to order with their voice online. And so from there, we've looked at different areas of the application of voice in a commercial context. And there are different communities of the Open Voice Network that also address areas that are more the technology side, standard side, ethical side. So we're focused as a community, again, at retailer brands and technology startups typically that are focusing on how we can look at voice as it pertains to shopping and really across the shopper journey, from learning information. Really, you take all steps of the stages of retail, from exploration, consideration, and decisions, and then that actual purchase. So how can voice play a role across all those touch points as these technologies are evolving?
Great.
Yeah. And I also think that part of our goal and what I've seen in this great community is the fact that everyone's helping each other. I mean, that to me, it just shows how important the mission is. And the fact that all of these different technology groups, these, I wouldn't say they're competitors, but they're all collaborating toward a common goal. And it has made the commerce efforts work a lot faster.
Mm-hmm. And that we do have a reality check on how voice is, we can anticipate voice being used versus how is it being used today. So we were kind of in that context, I think we do a reality check. We are all proponents of the development of voice for commerce. And yet, and we'll talk a little bit about in the context of some use cases in a moment, but we see voice being used really for information. Like everyone is saying, what's the weather? What's the, what am I have on my schedule in the next hour? Set the timer for 15 minutes. There's a lot of command use of voice. So we're trying to look at how consumers are engaged with voice and how they're starting to use it when they shop. But we're also grounded by the reality of how early days it really is.
Great. Yeah, I know there's a lot of use cases that your group is talking through to make this
Right.
real and really what the needs are and what consumers and retailers want. And speaking of that, one of the big projects, I know Vivian, it sounds like you've got quite a few projects that you've been working on. One coming from your organization, GS1 US, as well, and others within the commerce community, the unique in-store proof of concept test for voice in retail. Can you tell us about this project, how that came about? And I know in a recent commerce community meeting, you delivered some of your findings from that.
Yeah, so the origin of this proof of concept actually started long ago when the commerce community was just being stood up, and we were really evaluating what value we could further deliver to retailers, really trying to find a commerce use case. And one of the most straightforward ones that we saw was being able to use a voice assistant in the shopping journey. Initially, we had two personas marked out for this use case. One was for professional picking and packing, and then the other was for the consumer side of things.
Shoppers were given a list and they were guided through in their shopping experience to help find those products. And that's kind of one of the key things is like, once you're in the store, where are these items located? So it was a use case to see how voice could enhance that, make it a better experience, make it a more efficient experience. And I think as we look forward, our next stage would be to say, from the retailer perspective, once you've fulfilled the mission, does it leave more time to experience, explore, and top up that basket? So we had a lot of learnings, and you might want to speak to the issue of people with perhaps special needs who found that really could enhance their experience.
From like a speed perspective, 30 to 67% faster. And that is a very, very big efficiency gain. And then to what Gwen was mentioning earlier about the unexpected but amazing finding was that we had a disabled person who decided to participate in this proof of concept. And she was very passionate about this experiment because she really believed that she and others like her, as well as people in the neurodivergent community, could really benefit from having a voice assistant help navigate through the store, because there are some people who have a really hard time reading the signs. There are some people who have a really hard time just knowing where things are and just finding their way through the stores. So she really thought that this feature would be a great benefit to those who are in her position. She actually booked one of those driving carts in advance so that she could participate in this proof of concept, and that I was just blown away by her dedication.
And that was a real aha in a bigger context of at all the major global retail shows. This inclusivity issue is so important to retailers. They're passionate about it. And this really shows that voice can be integrated as a part of that toolkit. It's like, we want to be more inclusive. How can we do it? And this was a real wonderful aha and what came out of the use case test.
The best part about this proof of concept experiment was the fact that it got to the core of understanding how people would want to use voice. I think the challenge is always, you have a company that has a solution and then they find the challenge to fit it into. And I think the way that Vivian approached this was great, because it was almost a technology was a transparent part of this. You were really working through how you would interact with something. If I could say, Vivian, it's the first time I've met someone that impersonated a voice assistant like you did, but I thought that it was a fascinating and a fast way to learn quickly how people would want to talk to a voice assistant. I think if you start today, a lot of times you have to phrase things just the right way and you hit those frustration points, and that was not what you wanted to learn. You wanted to learn what people would do. How would they use it? Was it efficient? And I think that's the core of what we have to learn right now, is just how important voice is to people, how they will use it, what are their top tasks.
And there's a lot of unknown, unknown opportunity, we can start to hypothesize what if the retailer's app was a part of this, and what if then promotional overlays are integrated into that, so you're not just finding the item in the store, you're getting information about what the deal is, and maybe building that into recipes, etc. So there's a lot of headroom here. And I think we're wise to start on some of the very basic functionality aspects of voice in the context of shopping, as we also are looking out at that more aspirational role that voice can play.
Yeah, and I just wanted to quickly wrap up what Manolo and Gwen were saying about this voice experience. It's not as transactional as ones that we might be used to today, but it does really speak to how customers, when they're exposed to this type of experience, they really quickly take to it, because at the end of this experience, some were already suggesting how they might use a voice assistant in the future. They would like it to be able to offer them promotions or coupons or items to build a recipe from. So people are really able to quickly take to it because they're now exposed to what it would be like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the elephant in the room is always, would it be creepy? And I think that was what we also were able to discern, was that as people are more familiar with interacting with voice assistants, and that they actually, in this case, welcomed bringing voice in. What we'll love to see is to get more retailers, certainly like in bigger boxes, and some of like the DIY category would be really interesting to try to look at, where you have shopping trips that aren't weekly or monthly shopping trips, but very mission focused, and the wayfinding could be that much more valuable. So I think we're hoping to get some participation within the commerce community, and we welcome anyone watching this program to step up and offer up their format, their brand for us, our team of integrated and experts to be able to help you as you explore voice in commerce.
Which seems like a terrific opportunity for retailers to be able to get involved and be able to get some of this insight, especially from a group of you who have already figured out kind of a path to test some of this. Now, you've all kind of mentioned this technology gap. What can retailers be doing now? You mentioned they have a passion for inclusivity, for also helping their customers have a more efficient and enjoyable experience. What are some of the things that retailers should be doing now?
Well, if you look at again, the broader path to purchase perspective, and we know retailers are tracking their customers on various devices and platforms. And you say, well, how can voice make that easier? How can voice get to a search easier, again, for information? And we go back to, we talk versus keying in. It's much more, when we've seen some of the demonstrations from the companies that are participating in Open Voice Network, it's really amazing how that voice can enhance the intended search. The outcome, once the search outcome is reached faster and more effectively, again, you have much more opportunity to not be leaving things in a basket online. So you're looking at the going from task to purchase transactions, and again, that exploration with voice. And it's always in the context of, what is the value that voice can bring to retail? Can it really humanize a digital experience? And I think as digital advances, we are really trying to make shopping through digital platforms more human.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and to build on what Gwen said, I think on top of that, there's a mentality of crawl, walk, run that needs to be part of this approach for retailers. I think we're at this world where convenience and efficiency are the core of what consumer expectations are. Again, if you look at the research that we recently just saw, the Voice Consumer Index for this year, the number one thing people want to do is really just talk and get an answer, not necessarily a voice answer. They just want to know, where's my package? What's the status of my order? How does this compare to something else? It's very, very transactional because it's efficient, and that's what people want. Now, layer on top of that this level of experience where we're starting to do product recommendations or promotions. I think retailers have to experiment to find out what that threshold is that consumers will tolerate, because the moment that you just make it harder or slower than what they're expecting, you're starting to pull back the advancement of voice. And I think that's why Crawl, Walk, Run start optimizing your e-commerce, your mobile apps, and your in-store experiences for voice now, and start learning about just how far and what customers are willing to do. And I think that's at the core of what we're seeing when we start working with voice inside the retail space.
And also so much post COVID-19, or if we can say post, conversation about the role of brick and mortar retail. What's the right size? What is the experience supposed to be about? I think integrating voice into that, reimagining brick and mortar retail, role of the mall, where, starting from the where do I park even, is going to have more and more relevance. So it needs to be considered as we're reimagining really the role of everything within a commerce environment.
Great. Yeah, I think these are some great challenges and opportunities for retailers, and just, the opportunity to get involved with the Open Voice Network and to be able to discuss some of the things that are happening there. I would encourage definitely individuals, organizations to reach out to at theopenvoicenetwork.org. Thank you to each of you, Vivian, Gwen, Manolo, for your time today, and we'll be back soon to discuss more.